Welcome back to our channel where the Bible is opened up and explained in 5 minutes or less. Ready to dive into another book from the Old Testament in just 5 minutes. Get ready, we're diving into every Old Testament book in just 5 minutes. Today, we're exploring to Samuel, where David's reign as king unfolds, full of triumphs, challenges, and God's powerful promises. Part 1. David becomes king. The book of 2 Samuel picks up right where 1 Samuel leaves off. King Saul of Israel is dead, and the people of Israel want David to become their king. Now David has been king over the tribe of Judah for about 7 years at this point. But now he's going to become king over all Israel. So, chapters 1 through 4 tells the story of how David captures Jerusalem, makes it his capital, and brings the Ark of the Covenant there as well. The Ark of the Covenant was a wooden chest that symbolized God's presence among his people. It had been a long time since the Israelites had a king, and they were ready for God to be in the middle of his people again. And when the Ark arrived in Jerusalem, the people rejoiced and celebrated. Part 2. The Davidic Covenant. In chapter 7, David wants to build a temple for God, but God stops him and says, "You won't build me a temple. I am going to build you a temple." Then God tells David that he's establishing a dynasty, that his throne will be established forever. This is called the Davidic Covenant, and it's one of the most important promises God ever made. And this points forward to Jesus Christ, who will be the ultimate king from David's line, who will reign eternally. Part 3. David's victories. Chapters 8 through 19 tell of David's many battles and victories over Israel's enemies: the Philistines, Moabites, Edomites, Syrians, and more. Under David's leadership, Israel became a strong and prosperous nation. Not only was David a great warrior, he was also a great musician. Remember the time when he slew Goliath, the giant, and then played the harp and composed psalms that we still read today. Part 4. David's sin. But all is not well in David's life. In Part 4, we see his terrible sin with Bathsheba. So while David was on the roof of his palace one day, he sees a woman bathing and he sends for her. They end up having an affair, but then she goes back to her husband, Uriah. But David isn't done. He calls Uriah over and tells him to go fight in the front lines of battle, knowing that he will be killed. And sure enough, Uriah gets killed. And then David marries Bathsheba. God sends the prophet Nathan to confront David about his sin. And when Nathan confronted him with a story about a rich man and a poor man, David was quick to anger. But then Nathan dropped the bomb, saying, "You are that man." David immediately repents and asks God for forgiveness. And God forgives him, but there are consequences. As a result of his sin, there will be strife in his family and tragedy for his house. Part 5. Family struggles and rebellion. Chapters 13 through 18 tell of more family drama. David's son, Amnon, rapes his sister Tamar, and then Absalom rebels against his father, forcing David to flee Jerusalem. Now Absalom wanted to kill David, but in the end, he dies after getting his cloak caught in a tree. David was sad over the loss of his son, but he knew that he had done what he had to do. Even though Absalom had treated him so badly, David still prayed for his son's welfare. Throughout all of this, David continued to turn back to God and seek his forgiveness. Part 6. David's Legacy. The last chapter, chapter 24, tells of David's last mistake, a census that he took that angered God. As a result, God sent a plague upon Israel, and 70,000 people died. But God regretted sending the plague, and he stopped it. He built a monument called Ebal at the threshing floor of Ornan, the Jebusite. And it was here where the temple would later be built. David's life was full of ups and downs, but overall, he was a man after God's own heart. He wasn't perfect, but he humbled himself and served God with all of his heart. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Old Testament in 5 minutes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this series so more people can understand the Bible. Next time, we will look at 1 Kings. So join us then as we continue to learn about the amazing stories of the Old Testament.